How's it going, YouTube? Coming to you today with another video, and today I thought to bring to you is the meta update. Now, I love making these types of videos because I really like to see everyone grow as a player, and being able to see these meta trends and future metas, I really do hope that this video helps you accomplish that goal, because it really does make the difference between winning that tournament and losing to a new tech card that you just weren't familiar with. So I hope that today's video really does help everyone in their tournaments coming up in the YCS, because there is a lot of meta changes that we are seeing right now that you may not be aware of. If you've not already been to the Imperium Duel store, definitely go over there and check it out. They have the brand new Wind deck box, they have the Stone Tablet sleeves, they even have the Demon Slayer mat, and much more. Use code GGYGO10 and let's hop right into the video today. So the first thing that I wanted to mention is that there are a couple decks that I would describe as the best decks as of now. That would be Despio, Prank Kid, Swordsworld, and then Cyber's Eldritch. So I feel like all four of these in general, if you pick any one of these, you have a very good chance at doing fairly well at the next tournament that you go to. These are all just very strong decks in their own regard. So I was actually having a conversation with my friend, shout out to Austin Smothers. We were basically deciding what was it about a deck that really just makes it so strong and the one that you want to choose whenever you go to a bigger tournament, right? And so it basically comes down to, if you have a deck that loses to only one very specific card, or it doesn't lose to like one of 6 cards, it's probably going to be a very solid deck that you can pick up and play. Because if it only loses to like maybe like 2 cards, at that point you're just putting them on gotta have it, right? But if it loses, like your combo is just like, okay, if they have like Ash, Imperm, Dark Ruler, Droplet, anything, and then your board is just broken, usually it's a very weak combo, or the end board just isn't really that great. It goes the same with adding any engine to your deck as well. If it doesn't really add to the amount of disruption it takes to break the board, you probably shouldn't add that engine. So that's really important to note, because whenever you look at these 4 decks here, they all have very strong core engines and a lot of playability, even first or second. We see that a lot with Despio right now, and we're going to be talking a lot about what Despio is doing to make it so great right now, because there has been a few changes as well. In the Prank Kid deck, it's just been very generic throughout the entirety of its time so far. The ability to main deck a lot of hand traps, a very generic combo, and there's just so many cards in the deck that you have to Ash. You only can Ash one of them. Again, shoutouts to Zach Pulling for that one. It's a very cool idea when you're building a deck to say, you know, like, hey, I could play 5 different cards that are Ash targets, but they're only going to be able to Ash one of them. And that's exactly what Prank Kid feels like, because there's so many power cards in the deck. When it comes to decks like Swordsworld, it has a phenomenal Despio matchup, and that's why this deck is so great right now, is because if the deck to beat is already going to be Despio, and you're playing a deck that outright just has the ability to win that matchup, then why not just play that deck? There's a lot of other reasons to play this though, and again, we'll be talking about this a little later on in the video. The last one here is going to be Cyber's Eldritch. We have to remember that Scythe is still a card in the game. This card is still very strong at the moment, and I really like Cyber's Eldritch alone just because of the fact that you can play a lot of your floodgates. You also can just go ahead and go for the Scythe lock, but if it does get stopped, you are not out of the game. So I really do enjoy this deck alone too, because again, it's just that 1 card starter that gets you to your full combo, and you still have a lot of gas left over even if the Scythe lock doesn't work out for you. Moving on though from what I find are the best decks as of now, I just want to talk about how Ghost Ogre and Ghost Bell, they really got cycled out of the format, and they're really not that strong right now. If you look at Ghost Ogre, it's really only good against like Prank Kid right now, because you're hitting specifically Adventure. So I don't really love it too much right now, because if you play against decks, especially like Despia, they don't really care about this card. And if you're playing against Swordsworld and you're playing against somebody who has been playing that deck for a long time, and they make Chaofeng early like they usually are, then your Ghost Ogre, again, it's not really doing a whole lot. So I'm not a huge fan. The same goes with Ghost Bell right now, because there's so many Despio players that are main decking Branded Lost that if you're main decking 3 copies of Bell, it's one of those things where it's an immediately dead card. And that's something where Bell is really only good against the Cyber's Eldritch deck and the Prank deck, but it's not good against Sword Soul, and it's not very good against the Despio deck. So you definitely have to kind of pick what you want to play this format. I personally feel like Veiler is very good right now, and we'll talk about why that is here in a moment. These two cards, I would absolutely side Bell. I think that it's a fantastic side card. Put it in when you need it, but I really don't believe that it's main deck worthy right now. I think that Ash and Imperm are going to get you there. You might want to consider Veiler, and again, we'll mention that in a moment. The other one that I think is really strong right now is Gamma. I think that card is still very, very good. If you have the opportunity to run Gamma, I probably would. So the next thing here, is this leaving the meta too? Like, it's kind of crazy to say that, but in reality, it really is. If you play DPE right now, and I say this a lot because Despia has such a large number of people playing it, it's that if you play the DP package against Despia, it really doesn't do what you want it to accomplish, especially because if they have Lost, they immediately have to respond to Lost, so like you're gonna get comboed anyways. Also, if they have like Mirror Jade and you go activate DP and they chain Mirror Jade, then like your DP just gets banished. And it never really feels that good right now against any of the matchups except like maybe Rogue. So this is something where you really kind of have to decide if that's something that you really want to play going forward. But we've already seen a large number of decks just taking this out completely. So this is something that, again, test it without it. I think that it's really smart right now to pull it out. It'll see play later down the line, especially if we see like the Anaconda hit. That's going to be kind of unfortunate for the DP package. But I think that this card is just something that we're going to see cycled out, and we're going to be seeing other cards coming into the meta. Again, this might see its time to shine later on down the road again, but I don't really think that it's that strong as of now. Moving forward off of that, though, the new spot to hand trap in the Despia deck is actually just hitting the Aliver. Now, I definitely want to be main decking Veiler again because of interactions like this. A lot of times, hitting the Aliver just seems really bad because, like, you want to save it for, like, the Lubellion, right? But at the same time now, I feel like this is more correct than ever because if they go Aliver and they search the Branded Lost, then you were not going to be able to Imperm or Veiler anything later on anyway. So right now, you kind of just have to put them on, like, you don't have the Lost or, like, you don't have the Fusion and just go ahead and Imperm the Alubra anyway. This has been the most correct thing so far because a lot of people are still confused on where to hand trap against the Despia deck, but this has been by far the most impactful whenever I've been playing against the deck, is you always go ahead now and just Imperm or Veiler the Aluber, because once again, you were not able to interact with them the second that they get that Branded Lost in play, so make sure that you interact early. The next thing here, so there is a new combo for Despia that you should be aware of as well. This is going to be the Lure combo. Essentially what they do now is they do a Lure into their Mercurier, they'll banish it, and then Mercurier, after they draw 2, will allow them to add the Shrouded Dragon. The Shrouded Dragon will reveal itself in hand to go ahead and dump Branded Sword and put itself on the bottom of the deck. There you will draw a 3rd card. So you just drew 3 new cards. And then you can banish Sword from your graveyard and then add back Mercurier. So turn 1, off 1 Allure, you now have 7 cards in hand, which is pretty insane. That's a lot to have, especially in Despia. Because especially if one of the other cards are like Patchwork, like you're going up to 8, you know? So it's pretty wild. Very, very cool combo in the deck now, and something that I think is really nice to have. So if you've not already tried this out, I recommend giving it a shot. Moving forward, Sword Soul is getting very popular again, and I want to make this a point in the video today to talk about is that I saw a lot of people who are already taking Token Collector out of their sideboard. Please do not go to a tournament and lose to Sword Soul because Token Collector was not on your side. This deck is becoming very popular again. It has a very good Despia matchup. So this is something where you can expect end boards of either the standard Chi-Shao, Baron, and the Blackout, or you can expect to see this is pretty average now, which is Monk, Chi-Shao, the Sinister, and then the Berserker. Both are very common boards to see. Both are very, very strong. So this is something where having things like Token Collector, Dark Ruler in your sideboard is a really smart thing right now. So just make sure that you're aware that this deck is very popular again so that you don't just outright lose to it. Next, I want to talk about this for a moment because I think that this is very important to bring up here. Now, whenever you are playing against anyone playing like the Therian cards, all right, do not forget that this card is on the field. This is Therian's Ring, the Colosseum Saucer. Do not forget that this card is on the field, because if you attack into their monster, they can just Lost World protect their monster and dump a Therian from their deck to the grave. And then if a monster is destroyed by battle, so you actually like run over their monster, then they get to add back a Therian from their grave to their hand, which is pretty crazy. So there is quite a lot that this just allows you to do. But this is going to end up being like Hidden City, where a lot of people just forget that it's on the board. Do not forget that this card is on the board. You have to clear this before you start going and attacking over monsters, because you're not going to be able to go for game if you have to swing over their monster twice. So again, besides this, the Swordsworld thing, very important. Just make sure that you're aware of this, because this is going to be something that you really have to know. That deck is very able to OTK. So moving on though, I hope that you all enjoyed the video today. This is a quick meta update, and I really do hope that you like these types of videos, because I want to be able to make more of these. Just as I see the meta changing, I'll just make a video real quick to make sure that everyone is aware of what's going on. Again, if you've not already joined my community, definitely go and join my Discord, Twitch, Twitter, and if you want a session on Metafy, definitely go ahead and PM me on Discord if you have any questions. All the links are in the description below, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful night. Catch you in the next one.